What's good, YouTube? Flying Speaks back, man, for our daily morning ritual. Typically coffee and sports, but today I'm just going with regular with H2O. Now, we got a couple of things to get to. Our main thing, of course, is going to be, quick breakdown of the matchup we have this Sunday with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The inner King of PA battle that we have with our fellow Pennsylvania squad over there in Pittsburgh. But first, we've had some, I guess you would say, breaking news concerning the controversy we've been dealing with all week. Everyone pretty much knows about it. The A.J. Brown comes out, expresses his frustration with the passing game. We all know about that. And then, so yesterday, Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown had cleared the air. Someone to just play that.
We're good. We're good. We've spoken. I think in the end, Brandon, BG, we calling him Brandon, BG knows he spoke out of place, and he knows that. So.
What was your reaction when I'm sure your phone started blowing up when that was going around? What was your reaction to it?
It's just about the team in the end. I think overall, that's what my focus is. I think that's where everyone's focus is at heart, and trying to do what's best for the team. And ultimately, everyone cares about the team's success. And so, whenever something happens, whatever it is, I look at myself first, because everything starts and ends with me. And I take great pride in what I do. I take great pride in the responsibilities that I have when I am to the city and to this team. And
so that's the one thing they're gonna learn from Hurts. You ain't gonna get too much. Dude is street media savvy. Dude is focused on what's important. So they try to get that. You ain't gonna get that stuff out of him, and that's good. He said we're good, which doesn't give us any clarity as to their personal friendship. And really, their personal friendship doesn't really matter to Eagles fans. At least it shouldn't. What matters is that these guys are focused, and they can block out all the BS and focus on the game coming up.
I challenge myself on that. I'm my best when I'm my biggest critic, and I have to continue to challenge myself on being critical on some things so I can be better. And in the end, everyone expresses themselves differently, and I respect that, and I accept how anyone shows up. But ultimately, I look at myself first, and I say, how can I be better? What do I need to do to be better? And ultimately play at the highest level I can play. And that's what it takes to play complimentary football at its fullest. And so that's what the goal is. Everybody's coming in here. I just told the team, everybody dominate their box. Everyone, including myself. And
now, my guess is, because if you listen to the way Hurts talks, he speaks like very polished and speaks like the adult in the room, very, very mature. Always talking about winning, always talking about what's important. As it relates to people's personalities and how they show up, he has his attitude as more of, I'll accept you the way you are, and these are signs of this is one of the reasons I like the guy. I'm very big on those intangible things that you don't necessarily see on the field, because for me they translate. Quickly before we get back to what Hurts was talking about, Brian Baldinger, the former Eagle, back in the 80s, who now is known more so for his game breakdown and his analysis, made a very, very good point. He said in 2017, the Philadelphia Eagles did not have a 1,000-yard receiver on the team. They didn't have a 1,000-yard running back, but they were able to win the Super Bowl. Why? And really win the Super Bowl with the backup guy, not even their quarterback who was slated to be MVP that year. But they won because they were an actual team. Guys who were together, guys who were willing to put it all on the line, sacrifice for one another, play their role, and nobody wanted any personal glory. And this really isn't me trying to throw shade at A.J. Brown, but A.J. Brown does have to realize that. That winning is not going to come down to just, any personal guy getting their numbers or anything like that. or any specific stat that you'll get in the passing game. A lot of people are saying, well, the Eagles only averages 180 yards per game passing. So because of that, that's not going to get it against the Lions. It's not going to get in the Super Bowl. But in reality, you don't really know that. You don't know that. I've seen Tom Brady win a Super Bowl. I've seen the Patriots win a Super Bowl with Tom Brady passing for less than 150. It happened in the game against the Rams. It was a defensive game. You never know how games are going to flow. That's not to say we don't expect a better passing game. We do. But, nobody can assume you're only going to win if you do this, or you're going to definitely lose if you do that.
That's what it's about. So I don't want to get lost in the sauce of everything else when the main thing is to come out here, go through prep, do what we need to do, and go out there and play.
The relationship with AJ obviously predates your time together here. Is there ways that is a helpful thing for you? And on the flip side, are there tests kind of given the dynamics of a quarterback, wide receiver, high pressure environment?
Yeah, I think, sometimes things change as dynamics change, but for him, he knows I had a lot of love for him, just like I got a lot of love for all these guys. And ultimately, he's a guy that's a competitor. He wants to win. He damn sure wants the ball, and he wants to make an impact in the game. And I respect that, and that's just like all of us.
As the emphasis on cutting down.
And I like that approach, with AJ. He's not judging him. He's not doing any of that. He's saying, okay, he's right. And this was something that yesterday on one of them shows, I think James Jones was saying that he never seen her take accountability or anything like that. And that's nonsense. That's these guys just not really doing their research thoroughly. Here he admits, there's nothing wrong with AJ feeling the way he feels. And I think most of us feel that same way. It's not a problem with AJ wanting the ball 1 more yards or wanting to have a better overall passing game. That's fine, right? The problem is you went about it all wrong. You go to the media. What are they going to do besides cause a bunch of controversy and talk a whole bunch of, nonsense,
On turnovers affected your ability to throw downfield?
No, I think from a macro view, macro perspective, you got to be able to saturate yourself in something to say this is who we are and this is what we're going to do. And I think, as I said, as things change as dynamics change, and the dynamic of our team has changed. We had a great addition in Saquon Barkley, and he's been able to impact his team in a tremendous way. And we've always been able to run the ball at a high level. He's taken that to the next level, and so it hasn't changed the main thing. Ultimately, we're looking at a piece of our game that we need to be better at. Being critical of ourselves, we need to be better at, but ultimately we're still doing what we need to do. And so there's always this ongoing challenge in that, but ultimately, there's a different team every year, different dynamics every year. You have different coaches, different voices, and different visions. And so ultimately, you want to come together and try and find the best common ground to go out there and be successful for the team.
Ask yourself, how can I be better? What can I do? What's the answer to those questions?
Yeah, just, honestly, finding that rhythm, finding that rhythm. The rhythm thing is important, and I think that takes a collective group in how we approach things, what we do, how we attack people, and ultimately knowing my job and doing my job. And so, yeah.
I really, really like that answer because that's an old school answer right there. It's about rhythm. Football, team football is about rhythm. It really is. So hopefully Kellen Moore understands that as well. What I would like to see early on, and Eric Allen brought this up too, and for all of you who are interested, there was a very good show. Seth Joyner, the former great Eagles linebacker, he has a show where he breaks down the games every week. I recommend it. Eric Allen was his guest. Eric Allen, for those of me that know, the great Eagles cornerback, he was his guest, and he was talking about the offense and ways that you keep players happy and stuff like that. First off, the Philadelphia Eagles, of course, they have a system that they're trying to implement, which is what Kellen Moore has brought in. Like, we get all of that. But there are in quarterbacking, there are other ways to actually advance the ball within your system, though slightly out of it. You have audibles that you have. Like, for example, this is what he brought up. Though you have the play call that you have, that's fine. But if you notice the defense, okay, has a cornerback, let's say that's on A.J. Brown, and that cornerback is 8 to 10 yards off of A.J. Brown. It's nothing that you call audible real quick, pass that over to A.J. Brown, and pick up a quick 5 yards. Forget the play that you ran. Just go get that 5 yards real quick. They playing off. All right, let me go throw that over there. They're doing that to Devontae Smith. Go throw that over there. And this was very common back in the 90s. Troy Aikman, he'll have a play that they call. But if he noticed that you 10 yards off of Michael Irvin, all right, this is a quick 6-yard completion. That's like a running game. It's like with the running game. And I would like to see the Eagles add some of those types of, little wrinkles to the offense. I think it'll happen, but, call a quick check. If you see that there's a certain type of coverage where the linebacker can't intercept a slant real quick, run the quick slant to AJ. You keep the guy involved. You keep him happy while also picking up yards. That make the game easy. You also see situations where and this is what Eric Allen was talking about. It's just like reacting to what the defense is doing outside of just running the play that's called by Kellen Moore. So hopefully, that'll happen.
You talk about needing to find a rhythm. What are the conversations like with Kellen and Nick?
Oh, that's the point I made. That's how you get into a rhythm. A.J. Brown's the type of receiver, just get him the ball early a couple of times so you don't have to deal with the nonsense, and then let the team get into a rhythm, right? Yes, I do agree with that. AJ should be getting slants because he's practically unstoppable in that situation, right? So it's all about reading the linebacker. Just throw the ball out there. Pick up those easy yards. Keep the guy happy, because obviously, he just can't control himself right now. So, it's really easy fixes.
Help you be able to figure that out?
It's an ongoing thing. It's an ongoing thing. It's always, I've said it's always been a thing that you try and navigate. And I've said that since. I've said that I feel like I've said that every training camp. I've said that throughout every year because it's the truest thing is all of these things ongoing. And I know after the game, I was very pointed with my no to, we shouldn't be having to deal with this. That's because I've experienced it where we weren't dealing with that. And so that's my standard in the sense of great rhythm. This is what it was, but every team is different. We have different dynamics on this team, and everyone has to be willing to accept those challenges. And I accept those challenges. I accept the challenges that come truly with the incontinuity and, that everybody has a different vision and different voices, but ultimately it's about winning. And so I want to do everything I can to win. And when my opportunities are there, take advantage of them. And that's something that I'm very, very critical of myself on.
Do you think you've had to change your game somewhat since the first 4 games of the season, to accommodate not only Saquon,
Good question.
but
Good question.
I think our offense has changed tremendously from the first 4 games. So I'm a product of that because it starts and ends with me.
Along those lines, too, as the offense has changed to be run focused, is it difficult for you as a passer to be a little bit less a part of the offense than you're used to?
It's not any difficulty in winning. And when that's your main thing, and that's truly.
See, this is the thing a lot of people don't get. This dude is seriously serious when he's talking about winning. A lot of players talk that stuff. Even AJ and all of them, they talk that. But, when they have those games where they don't get as many passes as they want and all that kind of stuff, winning don't mean nothing because he's snapping out when you win, and that's kind of the problem. But I said the easy fix is put more easy passes in the game so that way, because you do want the quarterback to be in a rhythm. There's going to come a time, and it could be this week. We're going to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers after I'm done with this a little bit, where you are, you're going to run into a team that's going to effectively slow down the running game. It's not that it hasn't happened. A lot of people forget. Saquon was not getting off big time against the Saints earlier in the year. Okay, in that game. Jalen Hurts had to win that game. All right. The game against Baltimore, Saquon Barkley was, for the most part, being bottled up early in that game. When we got in the second quarter, Saquon, he has 44 yards at halftime. So when we get in that second quarter, he got about like 30 yards. It was Jalen Hurts who led 2 scoring drives in that second quarter to put us up 14-0. People forget all of that. All they remember is Saquon Barkley in the fourth quarter where he goes off for 70 yards, and then they say he carried the team, which is BS. You're not really watching, or you're just a hater. All right, now just real quickly, I think that's enough from Jalen Hurts. He said they're good, and he's talking about focusing on the main thing. I'm going to go to A.J. Brown's statements yesterday a little bit before we go into the game against Pittsburgh.
Me and Jalen are good, so he's BG guy. So everybody loves BG. He's speaking from the heart. He's just giving his perception on something from the outside. So
He's around you guys all the time. Did you see where there might be a misperception?
I think that's what everybody. I think that's what the world did. They perceived what I said about passing and felt like it was an attack on Jalen, and I think that's what he did. Me and Jalen relationship is personal. So I can see that.
How would you characterize your relationship with Jalen right now?
Me and his relationship are good. So
Does any of this impact
Just real briefly about this here. Them keep saying they're good. Kind of indicates they could be a little bit of a problem because we all know they were considered best friends, right? There's a difference between best friends and then we're just good. So, though I'm not one of these people that gets up here and getting into this personal stuff, it's obviously probably not the same, I guess. And to me, I think that's sad. If is football that deep where like two people that's real close, close, what a homie is from. Is football that deep that it will really break up a relationship like that? That's weird to me. That's really weird to me, but it's a side thing, man. At the end of the day, these guys got to have a professional relationship. But then on the flip side, Nick Sirianni says they eat together, pray together, whatever. Maybe they are good or, I don't know. To me, it's a strange type of relationship. If you're really my homie, you're definitely not going to go to the media. You're just not going to do those things. But I don't know. Let's hear what AJ had to say.
I'm sorry to say that. Not at all, man. We're trying to go out here and do our job each and every Sunday. It's no personal or business. Like I said, BG is just speaking, and he just kept speaking, and it's whatever. So,
when you mentioned passing, a lot of people obviously put that as a criticism on Jalen. What did you mean by passing?
When he asked the question what the offense could do better, obviously it's not running the ball. He's about to win MVP. Like, literally. So what other thing we do on offense? We have to pass the ball. And that can go into protection. That go picking up a block. That go to us getting open quicker, being on the same page, Jalen reads, or whatever the case may be. It's a collect group of things. And, I think they just kind of just spent it that way. And, and I said that for a reason, honestly, because, we went to the Super Bowl and lost. We tried again next year. It was 10 and whatever our record is, and it was a landslide. And here we go again. And it's something that we can correct right now while we have the opportunity. And that's why I was bringing the awareness of bringing it to everybody's attention. Like, it's something we can focus on. Like, we know we can run the ball. Saquon's doing a great job. Like, we're not against running the ball.
All right. So y'all heard that, right? So I'm going to deal with some of your comments here before we start talking about the game coming up. Because some of you said some good things here. So my man Friday starts out with beating the Steelers by 14. I hope you're right. I hope you're right. We back locked in. The run game is cooled down. We need to work on passing these last games. I get what you're saying, but I don't know that football works that way. You get your focus got to be putting in a game plan that wins. If you're going up against a team that's great at, stopping the pass, you're not going to just go force the run. At the same time, I don't know that we're in a situation because we're still going up against, we're still fighting for that first seed with Detroit, hoping that maybe Josh Allen can help us out and beat them. We're in that type of situation, so we got to kind of focus on winning more than just whether or not just the passing game is getting better. Though I agree, we do need a better passing game, which we'll talk about a little more as we go on. I think it has to win both Hurts and I think to win has to be both Hurts and Brown playing well. If they win with both struggling, like Nick Wright will still get on them predicting other claps. All right, fuck Nick Wright. That's number one. Don't really care about his opinion. That's number one. Number two, right? You want them both playing well. They go hand in hand. One is a receiver, one is a quarterback. The only way the receiver is going to play well is if the quarterback is playing well, and vice versa, right? So, yeah, I do agree. I think it has to be, you're right. 2 wide receivers and 1K yards. Well, that was last year. That's not the case this year. Mainly, in my opinion, because they both missed time. AJ Brown and Devontae Smith both missed time. But AJ Brown is still on pace to get 1,000 yards, Great point. The media assumption is you can't beat Mahomes scoring less than 30, but Brady won a Super Bowl, not even scoring 14. They got look. Mahomes might not even be in the Super Bowl this year, but if he is, I welcome playing the Chiefs. I would actually love to play the Chiefs, to be honest with you. Right. As far as Brady goes. Emmanuel Acho said that the Eagles fans protect and make too many excuses for Hurts. Your thoughts? The problem with Emmanuel Acho is that his assessment is oftentimes wrong. Emmanuel Acho literally said out of his mouth, right, that in 2022 when we made it to the Super Bowl, he said that Jalen Hurts was carried by the team, okay, defense and the team. He said that in the Giants game, what he did was he looked at the stats. And he said, well, Hurts only passed for 160 or something like that, right? Whatever the numbers were. And he assumed by looking at just the stat sheet that Hurts didn't play well in the game, which is nonsense. What happened in the game against the Giants is that the Philadelphia Eagles were up. Eagles put up 24 points out of the first 4 drives. So maybe in that first quarter, I don't remember exactly, but in the first quarter might have had 17 points. Third quarter, second quarter, you had a bunch of points. So what happened was the Eagles decided to start running against the Giants. But in the beginning of the game, to get the lead, he was passing all over the place. There was a bomb to Devontae Smith. There was a long pass to A.J. Brown. It was butter, right? So there was no reason to go out there in the third and fourth quarter and air it out. We were just running Gainwell and running Miles Sanders. That's all that game required, right? But a person who's only going to look at a stat sheet, oh, he passed on a 50-50 yard means he was carried, is incorrect. So of course, Acho, when he gains their reputation of being that type of guy that doesn't thoroughly do his research, but he's just talking, that's when he becomes a target. He becomes a target for Eagles fans, right? Because we watch every game. You can't just blow the total, you can't get that stuff past us. You're gonna deal with people who really know what's going on. And as far as excuses for what excuse is there to make when you're 11-2, what excuse is there to make? Excuse about what? Passing yards, which is one of the most overrated stats, honestly, in all of football. Passing yards, typically quarterbacks who have a bunch of passing yards, and you can look this up on your own, are generally on teams that have bad defenses and are part of offenses that are quite inefficient. They don't have good running games, and you just have a quarterback that's passing. Now, you want to play that way, be my guest. I don't want a team that plays that way. I want a team that has a good running game. I want a team that has a good passing game. I want a good offensive line. I want a great defense. I want everything. And I don't just want to pass. What is it about passing that makes that so special over everything else? You know, I agree. The slant should be just going to AJ all the time. Emmanuel Acho is a lot of Acho, bro. You're talking a lot of Acho here. But see, Emmanuel Acho said that Eagles fans protect. Okay, why your stuff coming up twice, man? What you think I don't see it? I see all your stuff. I ain't gonna miss nothing. It's just that a lot of times I'm gonna, open up, get my opening first before I deal with it. Yeah, it was good, Keystone. It was good. Shady McCoy even agrees somewhat. Yeah, but Shady, just like Acho, they don't do thorough research, right? That's why, like, the guys I more so will listen to are the Seth Joiners, the Brian Baldingers, sometimes Dan Orlovsky, but sometimes Dan, because he's hanging with, the people he's hanging with, he gets caught up in narratives as well. So he's a little sometimey. But Shady McCoy, Acho, those guys are for entertainment. They're there if you just want to laugh. They're not there really to get information. They're just entertaining guys. If you want information, I would recommend NFL Live, where you have people like Mina Kimes, Swagoo, even Ryan Clark. They don't get caught up in the narratives as much. They're a little bit more thorough. And even if you want better than that, like I said, go to Baldinger, go to guys who really actually break down film, right? If you really want to be informed, even some of the Eagles content creators I would recommend. The QB school is really good. He's a guy that goes through every single play. If there's something missed, he points it out. If there's something that was done well, he points it out. We have another guy who does Eagle content. I think it's called Top Billing. Now he's very entertaining, and he also goes through film. If you're talking about really being informed, but your Achos and your Shadies, they're just entertainment guys, and they're not like going to bring information that's really informative. I don't even think they watch all the games. Honestly, I think those guys come into work. They have their producers and they have their staff people. They hand them sheets of paper, and then they sit in the back room and decide, okay, how we're going to do this show today. And then they go out there and they pretty much wing it. You can just tell by their takes. I agree with that as well. Though Smitty is better on the comeback routes. Like, that's what I would do a lot for him. What I would do with Devontae Smith, just to get the passing game going, is you got to look at the coverages of the defenses. When they're playing off, let Devontae Smith go out, do curl routes. Let him come out, that's what he's great at. A.J. Brown, you want to get a lot of slants. Those are ways to get these guys 5 catches real quick, 3 catches real quick in the first quarter. And you don't have to worry about it. Just following. That's the one thing I think Hurts is doing a little. He could do better with. He's not using check. He's not check downs. He's not using his audibles. You should have, like Eric Allen actually said, you should have 4 audibles every time you step up. Forget what Kellen Moore's calling. You should have 4 audibles, right? I get it. The play is to do whatever the Kellen Moore play is, but if you're looking, you see A.J. Brown over there, and let's say you scouted the cornerback that's on A.J. Brown. Let's say that cornerback is a horrible tackler. Hey, that's a quick opportunity. Get the ball out to A.J. Brown, 5-yard catch, and he might be able to break that tackle and turn it into more. You do little things like that, man, to get keep your receivers happy. So that's what I hope to see the Eagles do. This was very popular back, in the Steve Young, Aikman days and those guys. But now, you don't see a lot of that. In all honesty, do you believe Eagles make excuses? What excuses? Excuse about what? I don't understand. Like, the only time you have to make an excuse is if you're losing games, and then I gotta explain something. Excuses aren't for winners. There's actually an old saying, and Bill Belichick said this very eloquently. He said, "Stats are for losers." That's an old saying. Stats are for losers, and that actually is the truth, because if 2 teams are playing, the team that won, they don't need to go to stats to explain anything. The team that lost, they don't have anything else. So what you do is you start going to stats. Hey, well, I got my 100 yards. I know we lost, but I got my 100 yards. The quarterback, I know we lost, but I'll pass for 300, so it ain't on me. Excuse making and all of that stuff, that's for losers and losing teams. Excuses are not for winners because you attained the objective. So there is no excuses to make right now. We're just telling Eagles fans, just telling you shit, we win it. Right? So what is it? What excuses is there to make? That's the thing. And running the damn ball. Yeah, we seem to be doing a lot of that already. So run the ball absolutely, but focus on improving the passing game. Yeah, they will, but focus on winning the game. Now, don't focus on just running the pass. No, focus on winning the game. Amari Cooper called out Kellen Moore. I'm interested for what? Yeah, I know that the excuse, usually the criticism of Kellen Moore is that he didn't run enough. That's usually what Cowboy fans would say. So what's he calling out here this time? Let me know. Hurst said he does need to get the ball out quicker. Yeah, everybody knows that. Yeah. And nobody is saying that he played this fantastic game against Carolina. Nobody's saying that. What we're saying is it didn't call for A.J. Brown to go to the media. That's it. While watching the game, yeah, I'm like, why aren't you pulling the trigger? Yeah, we're all in agreement about he should be pulling the trigger. We're all in agreement about that. The issue came in with A.J. Brown deciding that the best way to deal with it is going to the media. That's the only problem we have here. I think they're still close. He doesn't have to say we're best friends. He can't see we're good and say we're could be. I hope you're right. But Brandon Graham saying what he said is a little telling. I don't believe that came from nowhere. And then also, y'all so good friends. Why would you put your friend in these situations? Like, are you that emotional? Yeah, that's true. Best friends do have issues. I don't know if they are or not. It doesn't really matter to me. What's important is they can go out there and do their job. But I just, as a side issue, I did have a question. If their relationship is fractured somewhat, if it is it because of football? Damn. I just think that's wow. I just think that's wild. If football is the reason, that football shouldn't do that, The media like Acho and Nick Wright feel like Hurts not passing the ball as elite quarterbacks like Mahomes is making excuses. Who cares? I don't care. I don't care about you consider people elite. I don't care about passing the ball like Mahomes. I never, ever wanted to have an offense like Kansas City's. I'm talking about when Kansas City had the cheetah and they had, Kelsey and all of that, and he was passing the ball all over the place and running the ball, 15 times a game. I never envied that. Now, I look at the quarterback, Mahomes, like, damn, that's a bad boy. You can get somebody like that, right? But there's only one him. You're not going to get him, so who cares? But I never envied their offense. I'm just a little different. Type of offenses I grew up watching that I consider great offenses were the Cowboys of the 90s, the 49ers, of the 80s, the greatest show on turf. These are offenses that I look at. I'm like, wow. Most of these offenses now, these empty sets, one damn running back, 4 or 5 wides. I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed. It's just me. So I never care. I'd never care about that. I never cared about a bunch of yards either. Yards is so overrated, man. 1986, you had Dan Fouts and Dan Marino passing for 4,000 yards. Best quarterback on that time was Joe Montana, who was passing for between 250 and 3 a game. Why? Because their offense was efficient. Marino passing for 500 yards had more to do with you don't have a running game. And then secondly, you're constantly in shootouts because you don't have a defense. That's why. Most of Jalen Hurts' games where he passed for 400 yards and all that kind of stuff is because the defense sucked and you got to keep coming out and having shootouts. Yards per game is overrated. If you have an efficient offense, you should be able to do everything you got to do, score all your points, with the quarterback passing between 250 and 300 and 350, and the running back giving you between 100 and 150. If you got an efficient offense that's really operating well, that's all you need. I need 500 yards for what? So I can say, hey, my quarterback, he passed 500 yards and all of this. People think the 2017 Super Bowl was a great game. Not to me. Shit, I was ready to have a heart attack on that game. Of course, in the end, hey, the Eagles scored 38 points, and Patriots scored 35. Whatever the damn points was, right? Man, I don't want all that. I want to see some defense. I want to see efficiency. That stuff don't. I hate games like that. I remember there was a game a couple of years ago. I think the Chiefs played the Rams, and it was like 40. Both teams scored over 40 points. That's a horrible game. It's a horrible game. But people, you go the next day, oh, my, what a great game, because they scored all these points. Hey, talking to the wrong guy, man. Like, I love Baltimore 2000 Ravens Super Bowl against the Giants, because I like to watch defense. I like watching hitting. I like watching those things. Some people don't want no damn defense. They just want up and down the field, receivers catching bombs and all this kind of stuff. I mean, to each his own. Up to each his own. Yeah, that kind of stuff is nonsense. That's a horrible game to me. It's horrible. Great offensive game. If you're giving up 54 points, why are you paying cornerbacks, $10 million a year? Why are you paying defensive linemen, $90 million, over the expanded their contracts? For what? Just pay me. I can go out there and get cooked. Just pay me. You ain't got to give me $10 million. I'll take $500,000 a year, go out there and get cooked, not make tackles, all that kind of stuff. Don't make sense. You should have defense in football. Anyway, we got the Steelers coming up. Let's move on. Let's move on to this game, man. Let's move on to this game. All right, so I looked at this game here. Two really good teams. I would say evenly matched under normal circumstances. However, the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to come in. It looks like George Pickens is not going to play. So that's going to be a big time hurt piece for them. He's there. He's the leading wide receiver. He's by far Russell Wilson's favorite target. Looking at the numbers, Russell Wilson is who I'll go into in a second. One of the best deep ball throwers in the league. He's thrown 60 deep balls, which is considered anything over 20 yards. 31 of those passes were to George Pickens. So you're talking about over half of Russell Wilson's passes that are deep ball passes were to Pickens. Pickens not being there is going to be really tough for them. So these other receivers they have are going to really have to step up, and the Steelers may have to alter the whole entire way they play to more of a ball control type of situation. It's going to be really, really tough for them because Russell Wilson historically is, he's not a check down guy. He's not middle of the field guy that much. I mean, he can do it, but his MO, his bread and butter, handing the ball off to beast mode in his best days and going long, to those going deep ball to those receivers. And in a way, he's very similar to Jalen Hurts. And I've always seen Jalen Hurts, even since he came out in the beginning, I've always saw him as Russell Wilson 2.0. Of all the quarterbacks that I've seen, he's the most liked. And little fun known fact, Russell Wilson was the Eagles owner and general manager, Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman. Russell Wilson was one of their favorite quarterbacks, right? They were considering drafting Russell Wilson. They missed out on it, ended up with Nick Foles because I think he went too early or something like that. They gambled on it and thinking Russell would fall to them. He didn't. They ended up taking Nick Foles, which obviously worked out for us. But the point is, the Eagles for a while wanted Russell Wilson. Prior to the 2022 season as well, they were considering trading for Russell Wilson. We know Denver ended up getting him, but they considered trading for Russell Wilson. So he was the guy they saw as being the ideal quarterback they wanted to run the type of offense they wanted to run here in Philadelphia. A lot of people don't know that, but this is the case. The similarities between Russell and Jalen Hurts are those two things. I think Jalen Hurts is a better runner, but we know the younger Russell Wilson was much more mobile. He was a pain in the ass actually to stop. Russell was a better passer. Definitely early coming out of college, he's a better passer than Hurts. Jalen Hurts is a much more improved passer. I don't care who wants to give him credit or not for it. He worked with Tom Brady's people. They improved him. If you just look at 2021 to 2022, much improved passer. But I'll give Russell Wilson an edge on that because it was something that was more he was more ready for it when he came into the league. Now, it's hard for me to gauge how I'll expect the Pittsburgh Steelers to do in this game because they don't have Pickens. So it's going to be completely different. You assume it's going to be really bad for him. I wanted Pickens to play because I wanted to see Quinyon Mitchell match up with Pickens. I need Quinyon. I wanted Quinyon to get more work and to actually get an interception. And I believe Russell Wilson was a quarterback that would have tested Quinyon, whereas most of these punk behind quarterbacks will not test him. And I'll include that Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow pretty much avoided him damn near the whole day. And there was a few times where he tested him when Jamar Chase was on him. Lamar, I don't know if Lamar tested him at all. That was crazy. Who else did we play? Matthew Stafford completely avoided Quinyon Mitchell. I don't know what they're seeing on tape, but he got a lot of these quarterbacks shook. They won't even test him, and it bothers me because, Jared, yeah, I don't care about none of that, right? I just don't care about what the common belief is now. That if you're an elite quarterback, you shouldn't run. Well, you're stupid. Like if Andy Reid, for example, let me briefly veering off. If Andy Reid has Saquon Barkley and didn't use him, then he's an idiot. I don't care about your quarterback passing a lot. I don't care. Because especially now when you look in the NFL, right now, if you look at all the top teams, they can run the ball right now. The Lions are almost a run-first team. Eagles, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, the Bills, okay? But like I said, all I need to know is if Hurts is in a situation where he absolutely has to pass, then he has to get it done. It's that simple. He's the quarterback. And I believe he's shown that he can. Like, I keep bringing up the Baltimore game. People forgetting Saquon was not doing much in that first half, and he was getting the ball. Saquon had 44 yards in the first half of the game. No touchdowns. However, Jalen Hurts had 2 passing touchdowns. So how is he carrying him? How? Saquon was pretty much bottled up in that Baltimore game. It wasn't until the fourth quarter when he goes for 70 yards. So that's the key. You run, but if you're in a situation where you run a team that can bottle you up, can Hurts pass? Of course he can. He's done it too much. Like, these aren't questions to me. That's the only reason I get annoyed. They're not questions to me. Did he have a bad game against Carolina in passing? Sure. Why? Because he wasn't pulling the trigger, in situations where he should have. We all know that. All right. So anyway, back to this game. What you got right now is pretty much a competition between what is the 7th best offense in the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Versus the I'm sorry, I'm tripping. All right, the 17th best offense, right? Versus the Eagles' best defense, number 1 defense. All right, and then on the flip side, you got the Eagles, whose offense rate ranked 7th against the Steelers, whose defense is ranked 7th. All right, so it's going to be strength versus strength, weakness versus weakness. I don't see how the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to move the ball very well without Pickens. Najee Harris, I guess you could try to make it a ball control thing where he runs. The Eagles' defense against the run is uh, seventh. Am I getting that right? Let me look this up here. The Eagles' defense against the run is eighth. Okay, eighth in the league. Eighth in the league. Let me see here. I am. Give me 1 second here. So I done wrote a bunch of notes. I can't even understand what I wrote right now. All right, so Eagles total defense is number one in the league. Eagles defense against the run is eighth. Yeah, I was right. It's eighth, giving up 105 yards a game. Okay, so that's still a tough run defense. It's probably better than going against the Eagles pass defense, which is number two in the league, giving them 178.5 yards a game. So you're already talking about a stingy pass defense, and you don't have Pickens. So I don't know. I'm assuming that Mike Tomlin is going to have to put together a game plan. It's going to be centered around the running game, and then maybe a short passing game underneath stuff. Try to use the tight end because maybe that's your best job to try to attack the Eagles' middle of the field, which is becoming increasingly more dangerous with Zach Bond and Kobe Dean playing out of his mind, and then you got Cooper DeJean, roaming around in that middle, playing that slot position. So I think it's going to be really, really tough for the Steelers' offense in this game. Um, Going deep to anyone besides Pickens may not be a good idea. But I guess if you're the Steelers, you're going to attack Darius Slay and you're going to attack C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Not because they lack talent, but because they're prone to making mistakes. C.J. Gardner-Johnson makes bad reads often. It was him and Slay that was the reason that Carolina receiver got open and almost lost the game for the Eagles. So that's the area I guess you attack. People are scared to death of Quinyon Mitchell, obviously. So that part of the field will probably be shut down. Won't be no easy pickings over there. But I just see the Steelers struggling big time without Pickens in this game. It's almost like the Eagles not having A.J. Brown. You know, Russell's not the runner they used to be, so I don't know. I just don't. Prior to Pickens being out, I was of the opinion that this is going to be a really, really tough game. Whereas now, I'm not so sure. Now we can move to the offense, to the Eagles offense, okay, which right now is the number one rushing game in the league by far. So, well, they're in Baltimore. Sometimes Baltimore, if you include Lamar running, then you can say Baltimore. But if you're talking about just the running backs, then it would be the Eagles, and then of course Hurts, of course, is a threat in the running game, which I don't really want to see Hurts running a lot in this particular game because of the linebacking core of the Steelers. I saw the Steelers play against Lamar, and they got that down. How you kind of keep him from running. Um, I fucking hate design runs anyway. So going on I don't know what's going on. My camera's acting a little funky now. So we got storms and stuff going on out here that's affecting our internet in Philly. So hopefully try to get this done. All right, this is an opportunity here for the Eagles. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right, let me try to get through this quickly because we got storms and stuff going on. All right, so I think the Eagles can actually use this as an opportunity to get the passing game going because it's going to be a lot easier to pass on them than to run on them, I believe. And then the quarterback runs, I definitely don't want to see. These guys did a really good job against Henry and Lamar. So you figure Saquon and Hurts, this is going to be one of those teams that may test that well. So that's what I want to see. I want to see. Now the Steelers do have some good corners. I like Joey Porter. I like the other guy as well, but I still don't see who stops AJ Brown. I really don't because the Pittsburgh Steelers, unless they make some adjustments, they like to play one single high. They like to play a single high safety. Typically, AJ Brown will just eat that alive, and so will Devontae Smith. So I see the long ball coming to life in this particular game. You understand when Hurts is gun shy, typically he's going up against teams that are dropping back 7 players, and they keep the two safeties high. They keep 2 safeties deep. And I think Hurts is not as comfortable throwing into that because of what happened early in the year. There were a couple instances we threw into it, and now people just talking about throwing into double coverage and getting interceptions. So he doesn't like to go deep against the when they drop the 7 players. So the Steelers typically play one single high safety. There is no way in the world A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith should not eat in this game if they continue with that. So that's pretty much what I expect them to eat in that game, and just watch out for the one safety Steelers got Micah because he's dirty. Like he goes for the knee. So just watch out for that. So Jalen Hurts is a passer. Let's stop the false hater narrative that the man can't throw the ball. Well, yeah, he's a quarterback. All quarterbacks are passers. Pass the ball. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and end this because I feel like if I don't, the internet connection will end it for me, and that's not really what I want here. So my prediction for the game, I think the Philadelphia Eagles, especially with George Pickens out, win the game. We're at home. The Steelers have a horrible record here at home. Typically, we actually blow them out in Philly. I don't know what it is, and they kind of blow us out in Pittsburgh. It's just a strange thing that happens historically here. So we got the home field. They'll be coming in here, and I got us winning a pretty close one out of respect for the Steelers defense. Unless we kind of blow, Saquon kind of puts it away late. I'm going to say 24-17 Eagles. On this game here. I'm going to say 24-17. I don't know what the spread is, but I think we might be 5.5 favorite. If so, that's kind of crazy. If it's 5.5, I don't know. I would think about taking the Steelers if it's a 5.5 spread. Let me see. What are the odds? Since Pickens left, maybe it's 5.5 because of Pickens. Let me see. What are the betting odds for you gamblers? For you gamblers. What in the world? Why ain't this damn thing? Okay, so yes, it's Eagles are 5-point favorite. I was thinking about taking Pittsburgh with that. Not with the points. The Eagles going to win, but I don't know. I don't know if we win by over 5. And the over under is 42 points. I would take the over on the points if you bet points. But as far as if I'm going money line, of course, Eagles. If you're taking the points, maybe we'll go Steelers. There's a good chance Eagles win by 3. Fangio oftentimes gives up these little points at the end of games, so Eagles could be up 10, and then he lets the Steelers score 7, and you done lost your money because you took the points. You might be pissed off. So I would think either go money line or take the Steelers with the points. All right, but the Eagles should win. my official score is still 24-17. So thanks for everybody coming out, man. Everybody who has something to add as well. So appreciate it. All right. Peace out.